got some time. We're going to wait for the video camera because they had to switch cameras. So enjoy yourself. I will. She can use mine too. Only good. Okay, let's start. Let's call the meeting to order. City Clerk.
Councilmember Agency Director Mann.
Present.
Marcus. Here. Cilio. Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Smith.
Here.
Mayor Chairman Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And tonight we have Tim Christensen, the Assistant Pastor at Lancaster Baptist Church, who will lead us in the prayer.
I wish you all Merry Christmas on behalf of Lancaster Baptist and Pastor Paul Chappell, and let's have a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for our city, its leaders and residents, and for the fact that it's a city that acknowledges you. We recognize that this season is special because God became man, and because the Lord Jesus Christ was willing to go to the cross after having shown us how to live and taught us about himself. Lord, we pray for our city at this hour. We pray that you would meet needs. Many people who names that we may not be aware of would be in need tonight, some with physical needs, health needs, some with financial needs, some with various issues of uncertainty or hurt. I pray that during this specific season that you would help those who know you and those who are interested in the people of this city to be extra sensitive to meeting needs and caring for people and sharing God's love. You taught us about peace on earth and goodwill toward men with your coming, Lord Jesus. We pray that you would help us to represent you so well that this community would sense the love and the acceptance of God during this season. We pray that you would provide wisdom, and we pray that you would provide guidance for this meeting, and continued protection and provision for the people of this community. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. You want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have some presentations, and I think the first one is from the city manager. Is that correct? Thank you, Mr. Buzigian.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. It's a sad day, but happy for Donna. Donna Kazinko has been with the city for 18 years, and she's a general service aide, but that doesn't describe what Donna does. Donna delivers, she runs our copy room, she delivers the mail, she touches everyone's life in City Hall. She always has a smile, she's a friend, and she's been here every day since I've been here, and I'm truly going to miss Donna. Donna, please come up. Donna has done a wonderful job for the citizens of the city and staff, and City Hall will not be the same without her, so please give her a hand.
Donna, who's going to let me in when I forget my key?
Well, maybe our new deputy city manager. Since I have the mic, I will introduce you to our new deputy city manager, Jason Cottle. Jason started with us about 3 weeks ago now, I think. He's the former city manager of the city of Tehachapi for 10 years, did a wonderful job there, and we look forward to working with Jason for many years.
Okay, we have the athlete of the month. Is that what we're calling it, the athlete of the month? Even though we do it every 2 weeks? We have a lot of high schools now. We didn't used to have that many. Mr. Goodman, come on down. This is when I tell everybody about you. This is A.J. Goodman. He's a student at Eastside High School. He, in the 2008 season at Eastside High School, he was leading the team in runs scored, stolen bases, walks, and hit by pitches. What's a hit by pitch? You actually got hit by pitches. Oh, okay. You okay? AJ served as captain of the team, won both the Most Valuable Player Award, the Golden Glove Award for Eastside High School. He led the Golden League in stolen bases and was voted to the second team All-Golden League. They rigged the election. But most importantly, I think, is that he, in doing all this, he still maintained a 3.66 grade point average and hopes to pursue a career in film producing. He participates in high-level travel baseball, led his team to first-place finish in the Missouri State Championships. His hobbies include golf, paintball, bowling, where he maintains a score of 190 average. I think we need a paintball course, don't you? I mean, we should work on that. We should get the Youth Commission, we should work on it. And he performs volunteer work and community service, including Looking Good Lancaster. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Lancaster City Council, I commend A.J. Goodman for outstanding accomplishments on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. Here's your presentation. Okay, we've got to get a picture. Where are you going to college?
Hopefully College of the Canyon from the
Obviously, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also have a presentation tonight for Sean Sivakumar. Is he here? Mr. Sivakumar? Okay, we'll do that later. Great. Thank you. And now, Miss Marcus, if you would do the next.
Okay. Carla Chirino is here tonight. She's 10 years old. She's in 5th grade at Desert View Elementary School, and she's going to do the same thing for us that Armando did a couple of weeks ago, and she has prepared a speech, or learned a speech that Marion Owens has prepared, and this is the youth training class from Antelope Valley Church, and we're going to go ahead and let her use my microphone.
Good afternoon. My name is Carla Chirino, and my subject today is Christmas. It is now what we call the holiday season. We have finished the Thanksgiving turkey, and now we are waiting for Christmas. What comes to mind when you hear the word Christmas? For most of us, a flood of memories rush through our minds. The Christmas tree full of decorations and flashing colored lights, along with a pile of wrapped gifts. There were probably colorful decorations around the house and perhaps a wreath on the door. And there are all the delightful aromas from the kitchen as dinner is being prepared. For many families, it is turkey again, or perhaps ham. For many families, tamales are a Christmas tradition. In other words, most of us look forward to a most pleasant and delightful experience as Christmas approaches. It is pretty easy for us to forget that a good many people have very different holiday experiences. For many families, it is a time of great depression. It might be because they are unable to afford to buy things for their families, or perhaps they have no place to live. Some feel great loneliness because they no longer have family around them. Perhaps there are other reasons. Many of us make a practice of giving to groups or organizations which provide food or gifts for the needy. This is great, but perhaps we can do more than provide money. Maybe we should be a bit more alert and watching for opportunities to brighten the spirits of someone whom we can help in some way, even to the point of inviting some lonely person to share Christmas dinner with us. It is more blessed to give than to receive. You may recognize these words as being those of a man named Jesus. Perhaps you are one of the many who have seen the truth of this statement confirmed in their own lives. Now is a good time to confirm it. Finally, thank you to those who have devoted your time and effort to working on the City Council. May you have a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
So why can't you give a speech that good?
Mr. Mayor, could the record reflect that Councilman Cilio is now with us?
Yes. Okay. This is the part of the program that we used to dread. This is when the Lancaster Sheriff Station the captain comes up and tells us what's happening with our crime. The last few times he's been up here, it's been an enjoyable experience. So let's find out if we're going to celebrate or weep.
Well, I think we're going to celebrate this time, Mr. Mayor.
Good.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to give you an update on this year's law enforcement accomplishments over at Lancaster Station. 2007 has been an exciting year, and we've made great progress in the area of public safety. What I'd like to do is first talk a little about the accomplishments of various units at the station. Oh, okay. Thank you. You're the man. Okay. And then we want to take a look at some statistics to show where we're going with our crime reduction efforts. This isn't intended to be a big production. It's not an MGM thing. I've already been outdone by a 10-year-old, so we'll just have to get through this thing the best we can. And then I'll take a moment to introduce Lieutenant Randy Dickey from the Cops Bureau. He's going to talk a little bit about the the Antelope Valley Crime Fighting Initiative kind of more from a valley-wide type thing. We'd be happy to answer questions either during the presentation or after the presentation anytime. I want to warn you, I've tried to stuff about 40 minutes worth of material into what was designed to be a 10-minute presentation, so I'm going to try to move through it as quickly as possible. The Target-Oriented Police Team, the best I can say about the Target-Oriented Police Team is that they really are our jack of all trades. We throw everything but the kitchen sink at these individuals, and they just do a dynamite job with everything that they get. I take a look at their activity. Down at the bottom, total arrests 1,867. They also served approximately 30 search warrants and participated in approximately 300 probation and parole searches. So I think you can tell they don't eat a lot of donuts or sit around at the desk with their feet up. They are a hard-working crew. LANCAP. Basically, LANCAP's design, we found out several years ago that a tremendous proportion of our crime here in Lancaster was perpetrated by individuals who live in multi-housing areas, apartments, and even in Section 8. So this team was designed to go tackle crime problems in those particular areas. Again, a very, very productive team. 1,039 arrests. They did 50 search warrants, 71 Section 8 checks, and proposed terminations for Section 855. Value of narcotics seized. It's pretty amazing, $246,000 plus, and 54 firearms recovered. Tremendous work. These guys are tactically sound. They have to make a lot of inquiries, and I'll tell you what, they have really done a good job taking care of problems in our apartment complexes and Section 8 housing. Our burglary suppression team. I'm really, I think, proud of this particular team. Lieutenant Downton and I noticed last summer that we were just going nowhere trying to take care of burglaries in the Lancaster area. We found that we needed to get more people out on the street as an arm of Detective Bureau to deal with these individuals. And so we came up with this program. We kind of moved a few personnel around over there at the station, and we came up with 6 deputies for the team. They're under the supervision of Property Crime Sergeant Kent Kreger over at Lancaster DB. And in essence, we divided them up into 3 different components. There's a report review component. These guys get into every single report that's written in terms of burglaries and just make an effort to kind of redouble the investigation, interview informants, interview victims, get out, take a look at the scene, and do what they can to come up with information in terms of trends. The second component of that is a pawn shop component. And to say the least, what our pawn shop component has found is that they're lacking in ethics in a lot of our in a lot of our pawn shops, and we're seeing a lot of receiving stolen property activity there, and so we're working that real hard, and we've made some very, very good arrests out of there. Third component is the truancy car. We noted that one of the problems we were having with burglary in Lancaster were daytime burglaries, residential, which were being perpetrated by kids that belonged in school, truants. So the truancy car needed to be part of that whole equation. When you take a look at their activity, they were born, we started them just last July. They've already made 210 felony arrests, a total arrests of 222, and they've recovered estimated value of over $100,000. I would submit to you that that is tremendous work when you're talking about they were just getting going back last July, and they have affected the burglary rate in this area very profoundly. Just wanted to hit on this real quickly. This is another positive offshoot of the truancy card. What we can see is that by bringing these truants, citing them, and then bringing them back to school, Antelope Valley High Schools had an increase in attendance by over 1%, Lancaster 1%, Eastside High School about 0.61%. So we know that we're getting these students back in school. Apparently they don't like being detained and either arrested for burglary or cited. and they have a tendency to stay there. The neat thing is this translates over to big money, I think, for the school districts. They've retained money coming to them through ADA, average daily attendance. AV High School, over $161,000. Lancaster High School, over 80. Eastside High School, over $94,000. So that really is a sort of a positive aspect to the whole thing. The school district's very happy about that. And then we can take a look at a chart here having to do with residential burglaries. You can see that the Bird team started in July. Having a lot of problems with them. The purple bar is 2008. And when they started, we immediately had a blip up in August, and what we found was that the burglary team was so effective, they were making lots of arrests, and their interview techniques were such that they were actually uncovering other burglaries which were unreported and then had to be reported. So because of the really good job they were doing, burglaries, or the reported burglaries, came up there for a short period of time. But when you look at September, October, and now the drop down in November, we're really starting to see the results of the great police work that the Berg team's doing. We felt the need to mention real quickly our community service officers, which is a city program. This really is a wonderful service to the community. These guys have much better response times than their deputies, since this is what they do. Deputies have just a whole huge, broad range of responsibilities out there, but our CSOs take reports. So they get there quickly, they're well-trained, they know how to take prints, they do interviews, they're asked to make sure they get around and talk to neighbors, and really do a competent job of gathering information. As a matter of fact, they write such good reports, and their investigations are such that most of our detectives involved in property crimes believe they're probably doing a better job than our deputies. And so they're very talented people, and we are really happy to have that program going right now. Patrol, probably the subject nearest and dearest to my heart. Patrol always has been, and I think always will be, the backbone of any policing agency and any policing operation. And if we had one, they'd get the station's most improved trophy this year. These young kids have worked very hard to continue to hone their skills. They have tremendous work ethics, and I attribute a lot of that to some great leadership on the part of our supervisors, our sergeants, and our lieutenants out there on the patrol side. We've talked about this a lot, and they've really kind of inspired our patrol deputies to get out there and get to work. As a result, I want to take a look at a few of our patrol guys' activity levels here. Total calls for service, 51,340. And this meets or exceeds any of the other really, really busy stations down in the basin, such as Century Station or Lakewood Station, some of the bigger stations, Industry. These are all very, very huge sheriff stations down in the basin, and our guys are handling calls and handling them well, because if you take a look at our response times, they haven't really varied much. They're there in just a little over 5 minutes on emergent calls, priority calls, which just means you drop whatever you're doing and get over there and handle it, 12.3 minutes, routine 57.1 minutes. So they really stand up well, and they're really working hard. Patrol arrests, again, as far as I'm concerned, an area of great promise for our young patrol deputies. Part 1 arrests 1,860, Part 2 arrests 10,210 total to date now. That's to date, and I believe that's through November, right? 12,070 arrests. We're well on the way to 15,000 arrests or more. And again, it not only compares favorably, but right now we're arresting more people than any other station in the county. Arrests are not, we all know, the absolute answer to every law enforcement problem, but it certainly does send a message to the bad guys out on the street that they're not welcome and that we're going to hunt them down. And I think in a presentation like this, we do need to quickly mention the Lancaster Public Safety Office. As you can see there, Shelley Henson has done a wonderful job, I think, revitalizing our Neighborhood Watch program. It's gone from 10 to 155 active citizens groups, and she's done basically for the Business Watch program, gone out, generated interest in it, and we now have 108 Business Watch programs thriving out there. They're important because we need that relationship with these folks. We need their information and we need their support. So Shelley's just done a wonderful job with that. Jim Cobalt is leading the city of Lancaster towards more what we call data-driven policing. And all this is we need real-time information on crimes. We need to know where the robberies are occurring and when they're occurring. We need to know where the burglaries are occurring and when they're occurring, and it's got to be real time. We need to know it quickly because that's what gives us the ability to deploy our resources, our patrol guys, our top guys, our Lancaster guys, to get out there and really do something about the problem. It's awfully hard when you know it's a week or two before you find out what's really going on out there in the streets, because by then the bad guys are off doing something else. So Jim is really leading the way. He's working very, very hard with the Sheriff's Department to make improvements in this area and give us that capability. And I'll tell you, I have nothing but good things to say about Jim's efforts. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. It'll take a little time, but we're going to get there. This particular graph kind of shows us, okay, what is the result of all this hard work? And what you're looking at here is the city crime rate per 10,000 for the year. Now, the 2008 bar over there you see is year-to-date, and right now our crime rate per 100,000 is down to about 338.8. I know for sure we are probably going to be below 400 before the end of the year, and it may even be better than that. In fact, I think that we're well on the way to working our way back to like 1999 and 2000 type crime rates. If we don't get there this year,
That's magnificent. That is truly magnificent.
it is. It's
a
just
10-year
a lot of
reversal.
hard work, and they're just out there getting it done. All of our units. A quick 5-year comparison in terms of Part 1 crimes. I think the important thing that you're looking at here, you know, your 2008 bar in each one of those cases is down. It's an improvement in every single area in terms of Part 1 crimes. Again, I think some other factors, but just a whole lot of hard work out there by our deputies. You can see that the Part 1 crime rate is driven by burglaries and thefts, and we're really concentrating on burglaries. We're trying to do something about thefts. Thefts are a little harder to control because a lot of times those are things that occur in department stores and places like that, and we have to kind of come in and clean up the mess and take them to jail after it's already happened. But burglaries, we can do proactive police work, and we're in the process of bringing that down as we speak. The future. Probably the most important component of this presentation, and we are really excited, I think, about what we plan to do. We're displaying a map of the city here right now because we do have plans either in January or February, whenever we can get this organized, to go on ahead and go to a variation of a beat program. And as you can see, we've broken down the city into 4 sort of, particularly where workload is concerned, even quadrants. And that was originally done to initiate the core program. That's our community-oriented resources and enforcement deputies. We have 1 core deputy assigned to each one of those quadrants right now the way it stands, and they're there to sort of coordinate things, stay in contact with residents, and be aware of problems so that we can deploy, and they work on operations to go ahead and deploy and take care of any programs that they're aware of. So they're really, really valuable. In fact, they put together this presentation, and we have them here right now. We've got Deputy Inez there on the left, raising his hand, Deputy Kim, and Deputy Madrid from over there. They're worth their weight in gold. They're some of the hardest working guys we have over there at the station. What we're actually now going to do is assign teams of deputies to each one of these quadrants out here. And what that does, we're going to take actually our the deputies that we have on each shift, divide them up into 4 teams, and then place each team permanently in one of those quadrants. And what that really does is it allows them the ability to get familiar with residents, familiar with businesses and what's going on out there, find out where the problems are, where are the gangsters capering, where's the narco being dealt, where are the gang assaults occurring, so they can kind of take possession of an area and work it, get familiar with it, and I think it gives them that opportunity to begin to take some pride in a certain area that's theirs. And knowing deputies' personalities like we do, they will. They'll take possession of the area, and I think it becomes more of a personal thing for them. So I think it's a good idea, and we're going to give it a try. We hope to get that going probably late January, maybe February, and give that a try. Finally, I think it's important to mention that we intend to continue in 2009 to aggressively enforce the law. We're going to continue to develop our partnership with the Lancaster community, and we understand that our community needs us, and there's no question about that. But what a lot of people don't understand, but what we do understand, is that we need the community just as badly as they need us, because we can't get our job done without them. So we want to continue to do things, and I think that this variation of the beat system is a good way to do that, to get our deputies out there, take a personal pride in an area, get to know people, and I think it brings back an element of good old-fashioned policing where you know people, you know problems in your area, and I think it'll make us a lot effective. I believe it's going to help us out there. Lastly, I want to take this opportunity to thank the council for all your wonderful support, because you really have demonstrated a profound understanding of how important public safety really is when you're building a quality city, and I thank you for that. It makes me proud to be the captain of Lancaster Station, because of all the wonderful work that our sworn personnel over there do, and our professional staff too. It's all one big team in that station. But in addition to that, I'm really proud to work here for the city of Lancaster. This is a wonderful city. The support and the resources that you've given us to get out there and get the job done, we feel that over there. We feel that emotionally. Our deputies are working hard, and we continue to we vow to continue that into the year 2009. So thank you very much. And if you don't have any questions right now of me, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Randy Dickey, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about the AVCFI.
Thank you, Captain. That's an incredible job.
I've got one quick question on the real-time data.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's important because the longer time goes by before you get the information, the harder it is to solve a crime.
It really is.
It seems to me that the data exists. It's the holdup is getting it in your hands and your deputy's hands fast enough. What's the holdup? Is it the city? Is it the county? Is it county IT? What linchpins can we attack to get that information in your hands, next week and not 6 months from now?
The answer to that, Councilman, is that the Sheriff's Department, and boy, I hate to criticize the Sheriff's Department, it just rubs me wrong, but I think I have to in this particular case. We've fallen behind a little bit at management information services in keeping up with that need to move towards data-driven policing. They're really good at producing yearly reports about what happened in each area, and, the problems in each area and how many arrests we made and all that kind of thing, but it doesn't help us because we need that kind of information on a daily basis. We need to know where the robberies are going down. We need to know where the burglaries are going down. And frankly speaking, we haven't been good at that. And I'm thankful to Jim Cobalt because he really is an expert in that area, and he's had a real battle at times with MIS to try and get the information he needs so that he can put his system together. But we're going to get that done, and I think that's going to help us in getting out there and addressing crime problems.
In fairness to the Sheriff's Department, we've been working on this now for about 6 months, and Chief Tyler has stepped right up, insisted that that material be given to us, and we're going to have those real-time maps. I think they're targeted for March, aren't they?
Yeah, very early next year.
Where
February,
in your
March.
office, my office, and the city manager's office, we'll know where every parolee is, where every crime is being committed within 24 hours. It'll all come up on the flat screen. We're going to have the most advanced real-time data of any department in the world, and that's in March. And so I can't sit here and say that you have delayed, because we've gone from no real-time data to a state-of-the-art system, and it'll be 8 months to fruition. That's truly remarkable work, and we owe a lot to Chief Tyler in making that happen.
Absolutely. Neil is, as far as I'm concerned, a very talented man. He understands, particularly likes the Antelope Valley, shown us a lot of support. And I think when we move in to that new era of data-driven policing, we're also going to see a big drop in that Part 1 crime rate.
Will that make us the first city in the county that has that capability?
I believe it will. I think that, obviously cities have various levels of dedication to public safety, and I think that we are well on the way to becoming recognized as a very progressive law enforcement station out here with the support of the council. We really are. And I love the idea that we're working also on taking on the mantra of being a research and development sheriff station. We want to stay up, find the best ways to deal with problems, and be the best we possibly can be.
Great.
If I can make one comment, Mr. Mayor. Just to add on to that, what Councilman Cilio said, is that what's even more important than solving the crimes from this data, as Mr. Cilio said, being able to solve it, it allows the department to be able to be one step ahead and know where to allocate their resources. So it's not solving the crime, but it's actually stopping it before it's happening. Because you could have a pattern of burglaries happening on one side of the city, and if you don't find out until 3 days later, they're already done doing their pattern. So this allows them to be able, real time, something happens early mornings, they can say, hey guys, it's going over here on the east side at such and such address, and so it's an allocation of resources, and it's actually going to be a great, not only a great crime solver, but crime reduction.
Absolutely.
So it's coming along great.
Just so you folks know where we're going, that is the target for March. But a year from today, we think we're going to be in a situation where we're going to predict crime in neighborhoods before the crime wave even starts, which gives us an enormous amount of leverage in stopping it before it starts. There's all kinds of tools we can use at that point, but we truly are becoming the state-of-the-art city in crime suppression. And you see it. I don't think there's any city, there's certainly no city in the county that's having this impact, is there?
No. We are just looking at our arrests and looking at the direction of our Part 1 crime rate. I don't think there are any other stations right now equaling that at all.
You're doing a magnificent job. Thank you very much. On behalf of the citizens of Lancaster, we are in your debt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I might, I'd also like to thank Axel. One of the first decisions I had to make as a interim city manager was the new sheriff's captain, and we could not have made a better selection. It's a lot of people. Axel gets to be the front man, as he says, but he's done a wonderful job over there, and I think we owe him a round of applause as well.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. I'm Lieutenant Randy Dickey. First of all, I'm going to do an overview on the Antelope Valley Crime Fighting Initiative. Basically, I wanted to give you Lieutenant Robert Johnson, who's overseeing the program, sincere apologies. He had to go out of town for a few days, so I kind of got drugged down here to go ahead and take care of this. Again, I'm Lieutenant Randy Dickey. I'm in charge of all of the Region 1 8-station COPS teams within the Sheriff's Department's jurisdiction as far as Region 1. Our bureau was basically one of the first bureau that the sheriff, when he came up and met in March of 2001, that dedicated the resources up here regarding the Part 1 crime initiative. One of the first teams deployed up here was one of my first task forces that we brought up here. It seems I keep coming back. I was up here in Lancaster as a narcotics sergeant years ago and a ComNet sergeant, and I keep rotating back up here. But I live in Ventura County, so it's a little bit of a drive, but it's always a good thing to come back here. Right now, this was a promise that was made by the sheriff to eventually bring valley-wide the resources of Part 1 crimes down below 300. To give you an overview, basically, of the AVCFI, the dedicated resources that the sheriff dedicated up here above those resources that the city pays for, those station resources, were the high-impact teams, which currently we have one deployed in Lancaster, one deployed in Palmdale. A crime impact team, which also comes under my auspices, that is deployed county-wide, regional-wide up here in the valley. The gang enforcement teams, the 4 corps deputies that are assigned to your station, and the gang task forces. The objectives, as you see, were to focus on Part 1 crimes. With Mr. Tanaka's issue as far as gang eradication, it kind of put a blanket of the Part 1 crimes with the gang initiative, since we saw a lot of the gang problems were intermingled with the Part 1 crimes. Also during the deployment of this time, and I think we'll get to it in a slide or two, is the new crime, the CAC, crime analysis group that has been put together to target those eventual deployments of predicting where the crime might be. Our primary objectives were, as stated, the eradication of targeted gangs, the gang-related assaults, create the regional teams to address the burglaries and truancies, which the station is handling. And as far as the COPS aspect of it, to conduct a minimum of 3 targeted surveys per deployment area. And that I'll address a little as we go on in our slide presentation. The secondary objectives were to target those repeat offenders, to do the intervention programs with our VITA program, create real-time crime analysis, and provide anti-violence and gang presentations to the community. The Crime Assessment Center is just that. That is the group that the sheriff basically has put into place, and these are the people that are going to basically target those crimes and anticipate those crimes that are going to occur. Lancaster and the Antelope Valley is basically the test center for the Sheriff's Department in regards to this program. This is housed at our Sheriff's headquarters, and they're on computer links with all of our teams and with the stations themselves. They also meet weekly with us with our gang eradication task force meeting with Mr. Tanaka. The gang task force basically is concentrating its efforts on a targeted gang that is basically causing problems within the community. Mr. Tanaka, about 14 months ago, basically addressed gang problems within the county of Los Angeles, and basically we came up with 10 targeted gangs within the county of Los Angeles that would be addressed basically for eradication. One of those gangs is basically what the task force up here is currently working on. We have 3 gangs within the Antelope Valley that have been addressed already during this last year's deployment, and we can say without hesitation that those 3 gangs that we've targeted during the last year basically are not showing up on any crime or any arrest stats or any haven't been committing any crimes since we've targeted those three gangs in this city for the last year.
I hope we targeted the gang that took the shot at the patrol car, did we?
Would you like an answer to that right now?
Yeah, I would.
We did a multi-location search warrant last Wednesday. We targeted 30 locations. We arrested 15 individuals, and they will be on the top of our hit parade list under the targeted one that is being targeted right now. The high-impact teams basically consist of 6 deputies and a sergeant. They're basically working with the core deputies. This breakdown of the city that the captain alluded to, where each core deputy interacts with a community within his area, what we've done with one of these resources is taken one of our COPS high-impact teams, and the captain and the CAC every 90 to 120 days determines what is the next targeted area that we're going to go into. And when we talk about targeted area, it's an area, a residential area that we can go into with this high-impact team and basically do a half-a-mile by half-a-mile square survey of the needs of that community. What are the problems within that community? What issues need to be addressed? And then we have basically another quarter-mile extension on that half-a-mile area that this team goes in and concentrates on. And basically for a 90-day period, they go in there and they leave. They live in that community and they address the problems within that community. The crime impact team, which is the SIT team, is basically our dirty boys. They're the guys that go in there and they take care of all the problems. They are a zero tolerance team. They take anybody to jail for anything. If they're walking and they're committing any kind of illegal act, they're going to jail. There's a zero tolerance with that team. They target gangs and drug enforcement, basically. The picture that you see here right now is our high-impact team. They just were in the process of serving a search warrant here in the area, and that's their team picture. As far as the CAC is concerned, this is basically what our high-impact team is doing. They will get together with a crime analyst at the station. They will get together with the CAC people once the captain has identified the area that we're going to go into. And they'll produce this map for us. And what they'll do is it'll basically depict the problems within that community. As you can see, the aggravated assaults, the grand thefts, the petty thefts, the rapes. On top of that, we overlay also a Section 8 folder that tells us where's the Section 8 housing that goes along in that. And then our people go ahead and interact with the code enforcement and with Shelley's group of people to start addressing those problems within the community there. So far this year, we've had 3 high-impact surveys in an area. Area number 2 between Avenue I South, Avenue H to the north, 10th Street West, and Sierra Highway. During that 90-day period, we conducted 28 surveys. As you can see, the arrest stats were 154, 27 felonies, 124 misdemeanors. More than the numbers in that 90-day period, as far as what I'm concerned with as a supervisor for the team, is the question. We do the prior survey, and we do an after-action survey. We take 25% and we go back out and recanvass the community as far as a week or 2 after that. And the captain was he was addressing 100%. But with this survey in this area, the pre-survey for the question was, how safe did you feel walking in your neighborhood after dark? The pre-survey was 21% felt safe. The after-action, 100 people of that 25% told us that they felt safe. I think that goes to more say than the numbers than the arrests that they made within the community. For our high-impact area number 3, which was during that time period, same numbers, 231 arrests. The survey, again, in my opinion, the pre-survey was 28% felt safe, and when we left that area, 85% of the community felt safe. The current target area that they are getting ready to close out here on the 15th was the area between H8 North and Avenue I and South 3rd Street and 10th Street East. We extended this period because of the holiday. We pushed it to 100 days, and so far they've made 258 arrests. The pre-survey was at 26, and they'll be taking the pending survey as far as the after action next week. Our crime impact team, from what you see here, just from working valley-wide, these are the numbers that they have produced over the time period that they've been working in the valley this year. The combination of this program is valley-wide. It's involving both cities, Palmdale and Lancaster here. As you know, the party car in your city, I think, was implemented back in 2006. We kind of bled that over to the city of Palmdale and interspersed that with CHP during during the summer. That brought a lot of our party calls for both sides of the area down immensely, especially the interaction with CHP. The gang enforcement, again, the same thing we did with those party cars. We targeted and put our GET personnel from OSS in cars with CHP. CHP, if some of the public doesn't know, CHP basically can't, when they make traffic stops, they can't have people exit their cars to do searches of the cars, where as deputy sheriffs we might have probable cause that could go ahead and have that. When we put the two agencies together, this enhanced our ability of those problems that might come up from down at the south end to target some of the problems that were coming up and down the freeways. So it was a good intervention this last summer. We're looking at bringing that back in the upcoming summer also. The ceasefire program was just that, targeting what you said here. We've targeted 3 targeted gangs that basically came up on either OSS's radar or the station's radar because of problems that occurred, whether it were a shooting, whether it were a blip as far as the actions of some of the gang members themselves. And we wound up putting ceasefire operations where we went out and basically targeted all the members of those gang members that were listed in OSS within the gang categories. We went out and basically went to the stations, did door knocks at the house. On the houses we could do probation searches and parole searches. We did probation and parole searches. And basically we gave them letters addressed from the captain and the sheriff, basically putting them as formalized gang members on notice that we're watching them. If they were not there, we served the letters on their parents or any adult that was at the location. The amount of referrals that we got from just those letters to our VETA programs was outstanding. Our VETA program is tied into the Cops Bureau. It's a whole separate unit that addresses that, but we had numerous referrals from all of those. It was surprising even to them, the VETA people, that we were having as many referrals as we were having just from those letters, those formalized letters that were going out and putting these people on notice.
Is the VETA program able to accommodate them?
At this point, I think the last class they had was about 65 strong, from what I was told. We are putting those at the high priority of the list, those ones that are addressed, especially from the letters that we go out and targeted. So those ones, yeah, we're moving up to the front of it. Would they like to see, and I think from what I talked to Sergeant Kripe, Would they like to put a second team up here and do a second location up in the valley? Yes. They're looking forward to hopefully getting the funding to do that.
Do we have a cost for that?
I can find that out for you.
Would you?
No problem.
Thank you.
The 3 ceasefires operations that we conducted are the ones that you see here with the targeted gangs that we targeted with those letters and went out. And each one of those targeted gangs that are on the list right now, we in the station has not had a problem with since. I think this is going to be the telling one. These numbers are current. Again, the overall as far as the sheriff, when he wound up sending these additional resources and dedicated these additional resources of ours up here, these were the numbers in the Part 1 crimes that we want to address. So far to date, these are the percentage drops for the Antelope Valley as a whole. 28% in homicides, 35% in robberies, and aggravated assaults are down 19%. Is there anything I could answer for you?
It's truly incredible. Thank you very much.
The troops are working hard.
Yeah,
They're working hard. And the nice thing, especially with the resources that we've brought up here, that the sheriff has brought up, the additional resources, is that it's people from within the community. We've moved some of our resources around so that we could get a lot of our people that are assigned up here or assigned no farther or live no farther than the Santa Cruz area to basically concentrate and stay up here in this area. They're working hard.
And it's having results. I'm incredibly proud of you guys. That's remarkable. Thank you. Is that it? Once again, thanks. For the next meeting, can we look into what it's going to take to clean up the pawn shops? If there's some kind of license revocation ordinance we can do?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, sir.
It would help if I turned the microphone on, wouldn't it?
That helped.
Yes. For the next meeting, can we look into our pawn shop ordinances, see if they need to be beefed up in order that we can take the business licenses of the ones that are assisting in the criminal activity? I'm sorry, what?
They're ethically challenged?
I can't hear you.
They're ethically challenged.
Ethically challenged, yes.
Ethically challenged.
Yes. I would like to make them financially challenged. Could we do that?
We'll have a report by the next councilman.
Okay, wonderful.
The answers, and we've already been trying to look at this as well, too, because you're absolutely right. There is an operational component that getting information helps, but we want to do.
I mean, I personally, I'd prefer that we could drive down Sierra Highway and not see any pawn shops, especially if they're ethically challenged. Have we given any thought to a reserve community service officer program? Do you think we should? Do you think we should look at that?
All the help we can get, I think it's a wonderful idea.
Okay, let's talk about it over the coming month, okay? Good. Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Just sitting here, I'm just kind of like coming out of my skin because just a year ago, we were still coming to city council and begging for, help. And 2 years ago, really begging for help. But I can't say enough. Thank you. Thank the deputies. Thank everybody and the outstanding job that they are doing. And Captain Anderson, ever since the day one that I met him, he's got a go-to attitude, a can-do attitude, and he's very proactive. The morale is so way up in this community. When I start talking to people 2 years ago, it was like it was a nightmare I was going to hear. As soon as they opened their mouth and they started telling me about their situation, it was going to be a nightmare. And today, they start to tell me of a situation, and it's great. and the deputies were here, and they took care of this, and this is, I just don't hear anybody complaining. Nobody's telling me they're going to leave Lancaster. Nobody's upset. They're so glad to see our deputies on the streets, and I can't say enough, and I want to be part of that CIT team, the dirty boys, that I want to go and do part of that. I want to encourage the citizens. I think our citizens have stepped up. They're not afraid. They've been emboldened. They know they've got somebody on their team. They're calling in. They're not afraid to do that anymore, and the citizens just have to continue doing that to help our deputies and be the eyes and ears on the streets. And I am just so proud of you guys. I could go on all night long, but I won't. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I think this is probably a great Christmas present for the city when you stop and think of what kind of gifts that we can get back. And I think this is it's very positive to sit here and listen to the feedback. And I think we saw that this last weekend too, Friday night and Saturday. Both the people that showed up Friday night and I think the people that turned out at the parade, you can tell that people feel much safer in the city. And again, I can contribute that to our Sheriff's Department, so thank you.
Maybe we'll be safer than Santa Clarita sooner than I thought. You know, for you folks that aren't aware of the challenges we face, they have like 4 or 5 parolees in the whole area. You know, we have, what, hundreds, if not thousands, you know, I mean, we're inundated with them. And for us to have these crime statistics with those challenges is that's why we're having trouble talking about it. It's just absolutely phenomenal because of the unique challenges that we face here in regards to the prison and the criminal element that has been imported into the area. It's unbelievable. And it's going forward. That's great. Which brings me to the next item. I think the captain will be the first one to tell us that the reason this is happening is because the citizens are getting involved. They're picking up their phone. They're reporting criminal activity. They're monitoring their neighborhoods. The Neighborhood Watch program is there. And we want you to do something else. We want every citizen to sign the pledge to buy in Lancaster. And all of that money, we call it Cops for Shop for Cops. Let's get the poster up. And the pledge is going to be that if you can buy it in Lancaster, you will. The reason for that is 1% of the sales tax goes to public safety. If we can get a bigger budget into public safety, we can drive this crime rate down even further. Given the new techniques and the level of partnering with the Sheriff's Department and the community, this really is going to become the model of reducing crime, but it costs a great deal of money. So we need to increase that without increasing taxes. So these are the pledge cards. You just tear it off, send it in, and as soon as the program gets going, what we're going to do is we're going to work with the merchants to provide discounts for everybody that has one of these. One of the things we're going to do is the mayor's scholarship that we'll be giving out in a couple of months will only be, the only people eligible will be the families that have signed the pledge. I think that's fair. Unless the ACLU tells me it's not, that's how we're going to do it.
It's actually your money, so I think you can do what you want.
I guess it is my money, isn't it? So everybody tonight, I'd like you to get one and encourage your neighbors and encourage the places you shop to keep distributing these, because we find that once we do sign these, our own personal experience has been is when we sign them, we go to great lengths to shop in Lancaster and to buy in Lancaster, because if there's any way to do it in Lancaster, that's what we're doing. Just yesterday, I was buying a new violin, and instead of doing it the way I normally did, I found a music store in Lancaster that could sell it to me, and I did it that way. So it really does have an impact, and it's going to make a huge difference if we get everybody involved in it. So it's Shop for Cops. We look forward to your participation. Yes, sir.
You might want to announce the websites as well, too, or I can if you'd like.
Yes, would you?
Okay, if you go on the city website, you'll see a Shop for Cops logo, and you click on there, you could submit your pledge electronically. Also, there is a shopforcops.org, www.shop.cops, or let me start again, shopforcops.org. And if you go on there, you can also sign the pledge as well, too. I'd like to thank staff Jason and Joe Cabral, who did a lot of this work in a very short time period. And we shopped locally and went to Davis Communications, who did a lot of the graphics for us. So
This actually got spun up in a week because we wanted to grab the Christmas season. They did a magnificent job. I'm proud of them for doing that.
Mayor, if I could say, there's a red box in the back.
Okay, moving on. Any items to be removed from the redevelopment agency?
no, sir, there's a couple to be recused from.
I'm recused, aren't I?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if we could remove RCC 3 to be discussed separately, and then also RCC 4 and RCC 7 for your recusal.
Okay, absent those three items, is there a motion?
I'll move that we adopt the agency consent calendar as currently comprised.
Second that. Let's vote.
Maybe if we could do RCC 3.
Yes, who's presenting that?
Elizabeth Brubaker can give some information on that, and I believe we have Steve Baker here as well, too. Elizabeth?
Come on down, Steve.
I think we should allow Steve a little time for a shameless plug as well.
I'm sure. I'm sorry. Yes, a shameless plug.
Good evening. On November 10th, 1998, the Lancaster Redevelopment Agency approved a lease and option agreement with Grace Resources. And we worked with Grace Resources for them to take over the old Sierra Toyota building that was on Sierra Highway. And Grace Resources was able to get contractors to volunteer their time and material to rehabilitate the old Sierra Toyota building. And Grace Resources has been an absolutely outstanding tenant. They've done a lot of good for our community. We've worked with them with a lot of people that we run into that have problems. And now Grace Resources wants to expand, and so they're going to exercise their option and acquire the building.
That's
I'm done now.
As you did so well, I'm trained very well. You don't? Well, we're just thrilled. We had a lot of volunteers and a lot of donations, and we actually invested about $800,000 into that property after we arranged the lease situation with the city, and we have one building yet to refurbish. We also house the Access Center, which is a one-stop for our homeless folks, so they don't have to travel all over the city. They go there, and all the services come to them. We are feeding around 8,000 people a month. I meant to bring a picture for you and forgot. We did 2,000 Thanksgiving baskets, and I want to thank the city for the metro parking that was extended up to our property line, because our line went through all the way around our courtyard, out the building, and clear into the metro parking to sign up for baskets. And we got all those done. We had about 280 for dinner on Thanksgiving Day. As we speak, my staff is at the office packing Christmas toy bags for the families that we've signed up this week. And there's a lot going on. We're working with veterans. We're working with the county children's services to help reduce child abuse. We've been asked to start a new program where we're going to be working with the Sheriff's Department to do a safe passage for children of divorced parents, so there's no abuse going on while they're changing their kids on Friday and Sunday nights. So we're just getting that up to speed. And we're also working with the American Dream program that we took from United Way, asked us to take it over. And my wife's going to be running it to help people save money. It can be matched to buy their first home, go back to school, or start a business. So we're about feeding people, but we want to eliminate hunger and poverty by helping people really, won't know how to fish, but we want them to own the pond as well. So we're really working from every angle to help people get off the streets and back into their homes and have their families be healthy. And our facility has been a great blessing. We have outgrown it. We need that other building finished. But this step is a great move in the right direction for that. We have real assets now, and I'm just very proud to serve our community that way. I also would like to say I have the president of my board here, Pastor Don Garant, and who's the pastor at Our Savior's Lutheran in Quartz Hill, and one of my top volunteers, the mayor's mom, Jeannie Powers. So, thank you very much.
That's my mom.
Yeah, that's right.
Steve, you really do a magnificent job in turning people around. And I'm not aware of any other city that does as good of a job. And it's really not the city, it's you and your volunteers. And it's really volunteer-driven, which is, it's a model. It really is a model for the rest of the world. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished, and we appreciate being able to help you.
Thank you. If I may, I just want to share one story. I was up at my dad's in Sacramento this weekend to do an early Christmas, and I got a text message from a client who had been with us 5 years ago, and all it said was, he didn't put his name on it. I don't know how he got my cell phone number. I guess everybody pushing a shopping cart knows that. And it just said, 5 years ago, I was in trouble. I was recovering from meth addiction. I didn't know where to go for help, but I couldn't do anything without my ID, and you wrote a check for $23 to get my ID. And now I'm recovered. I'm the manager of a major retail store in the Valley. My family's back together, and I'm successful because of what Grace did for me. And I'll tell you, that was the best Christmas present I ever got, because we don't always hear those stories. But I know we're making a difference. Many of our volunteers are folks who used to be in trouble and were clients. We have 13 paid staff. Only 4 of us are full-time. The rest are part-time. But they manage 400 volunteers. And it's magic. I honestly don't even know how it works half the time, but it does. And with the support of the city, working with the Sheriff's Department, working with all the other agencies. We were all at Northrop this morning and got a nice Christmas gift. And it was just neat to see all the other agencies there and just to say we all work together. We're all family to make this a good place to live and take care of our people. So I'm very proud of that. So this move for us is a big step, and we hope to finish that next building and really be doing 110% like we ought to be.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Adopt RCC 3.
I'll second that.
It's unanimous. And I'm recusing myself on items 4 and 7. On 7, it's out at the Fox Airfield and Ilesa hangar out there. So that's the reason. And on 4, the Field of Dreams. What is that?
And in that one,
That's
Mr. Mayor, you have property near...
My wife owns the
within
property
5
at that one, yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And I'll turn it over to the Vice Mayor. Here, in case anybody gets out of line.
Let the record reflect that the mayor has left the room, and do I hear any motions on RCC 4 and 7?
Move adoption, RCC 4 and 7.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Call for a vote. It's unanimous with Mayor Paris abstaining. Let the record reflect the mayor is back in the room, and I've turned it back over to him.
Thank you. Now we have the consent calendar. Any items to be removed?
No, sir. Move that we adopt the consent calendar.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I second that.
You are? Okay, good. Let's vote. It's unanimous. Okay, let's open the public hearing. Item number 1, chronic nuisance abatement. I guess I got to go through a few things first, don't I? City Clerk, any communications?
No, sir.
There are no speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, let's close the public hearing. Any discussion?
Move adoption, resolution number 08-98.
We had Barbara Boswell that was going to give a report.
Oh, that's right, and I'd like Barbara Boswell to come up and give a report on this, because this is really cool.
Just to make sure we're cleared up on that, I'll second that motion then.
Okay.
Discussion.
And Mr. Wilson, we want you to pay attention to this, because this is really cool.
Yes, I agree. I think this is really cool, and it's a good night to present it after the good news we got from the captain, and it's going to be another tool for them to use to help in fighting crime. In October 2008, the City Council passed Ordinance 908, establishing the Chronic Nuisance Property Program, which was actually originally introduced by Vice Mayor Smith. This program defines a chronic nuisance property as a property that generates 5 or more sheriff calls for nuisance services during any 12-month period. A nuisance activity is one that includes activities or behaviors such as disturbing the peace, any form of assault, and discharging a weapon, among other activities. The program provides that on the 4th nuisance service call, a written nuisance incident notice will be sent to both the owner of the property and a tenant if applicable. The notice warns the property owner and tenant that future nuisance service calls may be subject both to both the property owner and the tenant to be liable for the cost associated with that service call. The costs include the total cost of the service response, including salary, benefits, and overhead, sheriff administrative costs, city administrative costs, and the cost of repair of any equipment or property owned by the city that is damaged in the course of the response. Based on estimates provided by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the city, the average cost per response is established at $1,000. The adoption of Resolution Number 08-98 establishes the chronic nuisance property abatement fee at $1,000 to be adjusted annually each year effective July 1st. And the program and the fee would both go into effect on January 1st, 2009. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
So what this means is that when a neighborhood has a Section 8 house or any rental house where there's a criminal element that's disturbing the neighborhood, they now have an ability to make it so the landlord starts losing money. I mean, let's not hold back on that. For the first time, the neighborhood will have a tool at their disposal to put it into this, because landlords aren't going to tolerate $1,000 fine every time the police show up. All you have to do is report the crime, the police will show up, another $1,000 gets rung up on the cash register. Pretty soon, those tenants are going to have to move. Now, once the landlords get a taste of this, what will occur is they'll start screening their tenants better. They'll actually do criminal background checks on their tenants. They won't be moving these people to our city. Of all of the new things we're doing, this has the potential of truly being a magnificent tool to get rid of the problems that have been dumped on us in the past couple of years. I suspect that we're going to see a year from now the crime rates really tumbling, because the people committing the crimes aren't going to be here. The reality of it is there's very few people that are having this huge impact on our community. And now each neighborhood has an ability to do something about it. So I'm excited. Good job, Barbara.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, this is one fee that, although we've not taken the vote, I feel real comfortable that we've got a motion made, and we're at that stages tonight. You talk about historically about complaints about enacting fees. This is what I would consider a very positive fee, so it's the right direction.
More importantly to me, what it is it's an ability for the neighbors to actually take a proactive stance and attack these problems on the block level, in conjunction with the Sheriff's Department and the city. As soon as we take the profit out of these people investing in this housing and bringing these people in, it'll stop. So hopefully, this time next year we'll report that $5 million was collected from these terrible landlords, and the year after that we won't be able to collect anything because they'll all be gone. That's the goal. And next month, I'll figure out a way to use the bulldozer if they don't pay the fine. Okay. Okay, let's vote. And as Mr. Mann predicted, it's unanimous.
Positive fee.
Public hearing item 2, Public Works Director Randy Williams. I'm sorry, what? Oh, I have to open the public hearing? All right, it's open.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, council members, we have an item for you this evening under this public hearing that would propose that the council adopt an increase that's based upon the 3-year rolling average of the construction cost index that's established annually by the Engineering News Record. This increase would apply to a fee structure that was established. It's an impact fee structure that was established by the council in 2006. The purpose of that fee structure was to provide a source of revenue that would be collected solely from new development for the purpose of widening Avenue K and Avenue L and those sections on those two streets where it is within the unincorporated area, but on either side is the city of Lancaster. The county was not taking any action before the city brought this problem to their attention, and the already, I think, level of service F is already recorded on Avenue L. Avenue K is not quite so bad yet. By the way, level F is the worst that it can get. So what we're trying to do is to assist all of the residents of the city of Lancaster, as well as those in the Quartz Hill, to be provided with a better thoroughfare along Avenue L and K through the collection of this impact fee. The city of Lancaster proposed this to the county. The county agreed to it. Later, the council adopted it, and annually we have the opportunity of increasing or to adjust the fees by the then current 3-year rolling average of this construction cost index. If we do not adopt or implement these fee increases or adjustments, what happens is that the nexus study that was originally done based upon the then calculated construction cost for the full widening of those two streets through the unincorporated county area would not be sufficient when finally that construction was undertaken to build it. So that's the reason for the increase. The reason we're bringing it to you at this particular time is because of an error on our department's part in that we overlooked that this fee needed to be adjusted at the same time all other fees were adjusted this past summer. So that's why we're before you now. This is a little bit of a complicated situation, but it's one that is of benefit to our citizens, especially those that will be living to the west of those two streets as they pass through the unincorporated county area. If there are questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Williams.
There are no speakers' cards, Mr. Mayor.
Let's close the public hearing. Any discussion?
I'll move that we adopt Resolution 0899.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. We'll now hear from Jerry Bryant, the city clerk.
Good evening, Mayor Paris and Council. On the agenda before you tonight, you have an item regarding Ordinance 909. On October 28th, you adopted this ordinance, and it went into effect on November 27th. This ordinance actually allows for the mayor to make the appointments to the Architectural Design Planning Commission and the Criminal Justice Commission with ratification by the City Council. This also allows the mayor to appoint the chair and the vice chair to both of those commissions. All terms will commence on January 1st of the year and will terminate on December 31st. Currently, there are 6 commissioners on each one of those commissions, and Mayor Paris, staff does recommend that you either reappoint the existing members to the post or nominate new citizens. And additionally, we suggest that you select a chair and a vice chair for each one of those commissions. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I thought I had 7 on each commission.
You have a vacancy on the architectural and design. Currently, you have 6 on each.
Okay,
you
but
have
I
a
have
vacancy.
7 on the crime commission, right?
No,
No, you have 6.
You have 6
We had
on
the
the-
one person, we're still working with the prison on a 7th person.
Oh, I see. How's that coming?
We're going to talk about that tomorrow at the Criminal Justice Commission meeting. We've been in discussions. We're still not there.
Okay. All right, we'll reappoint the 6 people on each commission. Next meeting, I will appoint Matt Buchanan to the Architectural and Design Commission. Diane Cook will be the chair of the Architectural and Design Commission. Greg Augusta will be the chair of the Criminal Justice Commission. Marvin Christ will be the vice chair of the Criminal Justice Commission. And Cassandra Harvey will be the vice chair of the Architectural and Design Commission. When are we going to have the foundation, the LPAC Foundation, ready to appoint?
In January or February. The bylaws have been given to the foundation. They're reviewing them. They have to take an action, and then it will be up to the council.
Okay, thank you. Does the council need to vote on this?
Yes, they do. Yes, you do. You're making your nominations. The council will ratify.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, let's vote. What about the Section 8 Commission?
The Section 8 Commission was not established by ordinance, so it doesn't fall under this.
Okay. Okay. New business item 2, business license fee waiver. We'll hear from Barbara Boswell.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. At a recent City Council meeting, Vice Mayor Smith requested staff to look into establishing a business license fee waiver program for those home-based businesses that have a low annual gross revenue. Staff reviewed programs offered by other cities to determine the best approach to developing a program that is fair and equitable to the business community. Based on that research, staff makes the following recommendation. All businesses continue to be required to apply for a business license and pay all fees prior to conducting business within the city of Lancaster. When renewing its business license, a home-based business that has less than $3,000 in gross revenues, as reported on Schedule C of its federal tax return, would be eligible for a waiver of the business license fee, currently set at $86. The business license processing fee would still be paid, currently at $24, to ensure that the city continues to recover its costs for processing. If adopted, the fee waiver will result in a decrease of revenues to the city. At this time, it's not really possible to estimate how many, because we don't know how many businesses fall under that, would fall under the program, but we believe it would be relatively minor. Staff believes that the recommended program reflects our desire to maintain a business-friendly city while providing excellent customer service to our citizens. The program would go into effect immediately, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any discussion? Any speaker?
No, we have no speakers cards, Mr. Mayor. You know, just recently in the Wall Street Journal, they said the month of November there were 533,000 jobs lost across the United States, and I know our valley is getting hit hard by some of those job losses also. And I know a lot of people turn to home-based businesses, and that's why I brought this up in the first place. Is sometimes, you know, just a person who's trying to turn some kind of hobby into making some money, and then they get hit with all these extra additional fees. Sometimes it stops them from being able to do what they need to do. So I think this is a good idea in this economic time.
I think so too. It's a good idea, Ron. Are we ready?
So I'll move that we adopt Resolution 08100.
I'll second.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Let's take a 10-minute break. but everybody's here. New business 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Williams?
The city staff is presenting to the council this evening actually 2 ordinances, but this first one, Ordinance 910, is necessary to assist us to accomplish several objectives as we continue to take over and assume full responsibility for the sanitary sewer collection system in the city of Lancaster. This first ordinance, Ordinance 910, has 2 primary objectives, the first of which is to make sure that we are able to provide the necessary controls and enforcement of those controls over what gets dumped into the sewer. There are occasionally, and I should say all too frequently, situations where when it gets to the treatment plant, we find that there has been hazardous materials or some other unwanted materials that significantly increases the cost and the complexity of treating that wastewater when it gets to the sanitation district's treatment plant. So we then have an obligation to control what goes into those sewers, and we do this through the enforcement of an ordinance such as we are proposing to you this evening to be introduced. That's being Ordinance 910. When the city incorporated, they adopted by reference the county's ordinances. The city's ordinance was Ordinance 91, and we adopted also the amendments that had been made to it. That ordinance by the county was probably drafted 40 or 50 years ago, and although they do occasionally make updates, as we went through it, we found a number of things that were not completely up to date that needed to be modified in order for us to be fully on top of the technology and the requirements of today's systems. As you know, the state has imposed upon us, whether we operate that sewer system or the county operates it on our behalf, what are called waste discharge requirements, and we are expected to provide, again, enforcement and full administration and operation of those waste discharge requirements. This ordinance will allow us to do that. By adopting Ordinance 910, first introducing it this evening and hopefully later in the follow-on meeting adopting the ordinance, we'll be able to strengthen Lancaster's ability to control the discharges and prevent any unauthorized dumping into the sanitary sewer, as I said, of hazardous materials. The ordinance will give us the legal authority that's necessary for us to administer and enforce the state's waste discharge requirements. It will provide a Lancaster-specific ordinance. Instead of referring our citizens and business to a county ordinance, this ordinance is written purposely for us, by name for us, and it will be part of our municipal code. Instead of there being a section in the municipal code that says, we by reference adopt county, and so then you have to go and look at the county's ordinance. So we think that that's a real plus. The ordinance talks about the requirements in the design and construction of any new sewer that would be constructed within the city, and establishes the means by which those designs would be submitted to the city for our review and approval before construction actually takes place. It also includes a number of fees for services, such as application to construct a new sewer system. All of those fees are existing fees that in the past have been paid primarily to county consolidated sewer maintenance district, because they were then providing those services. So we're essentially shifting those fees for service such that they will be collected by the city and used in our providing of the sewer maintenance services to the whole community. So we'll be collecting the same fees that previously were going to the county and using them for the same purpose, that being to provide specific services associated with the sanitary sewer system. That's a very compact and fast, I understand, explanation of what Ordinance 910 is, and staff's recommendation to the council this evening is that you introduce this ordinance and have it brought back at a later date for adoption. If there are questions, I would be happy to try to answer them for you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Any speaker cards?
No speakers cards, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion?
I move that we introduce ordinance number 910.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Mr. Williams, you're busy tonight. Now we'll go on
This is the second
business item
ordinance.
4.
Yes, sir. This is the second ordinance that I mentioned. This one, actually, the City Council adopted an ordinance in April, I believe it was April of 2006. It was 2007. It was in preparation of our taking over the Consolidated Sewer Maintenance District. Its purpose was to establish the structure by which the sewer collection fees would be distributed to all of those property owners that are tied into the sewer system and therefore receiving service. The fees I talked about before were for fees that were associated with new sewers under construction by developers or someone who would be connecting to it that previously had not been connected. These fees are for all of us who have, since the city took over the sewer maintenance district functions, and long before that, since for those who have been connected. These fees are collected on the tax rolls, and those fees have already been set. Again, what we did at the time of the adoption in 2007 was we modeled our ordinance, but we rewrote it to be Lancaster specific. We modeled it after the county's earlier ordinance. What we have recently found is that there are some elements of the county's previous ordinance that were not in compliance with Proposition 218. And Proposition 218, as the council is aware, requires that there cannot be property-related fees or taxes associated to a property except by vote of the people. In the case of utilities such as water and sewer, it becomes not a majority vote in favor, but rather a majority protest vote. So at the time the council adopted the existing ordinance, I think it's 876, there was a vote, a ballot that was sent out to all of the property owners, those who were being providing service under the district, and it did pass that balloting process, which allowed the council to go forward with establishing the fees. What we found, though, that was missing was Proposition 218 says that public agencies must pay their fair share of those benefit assessments, and this would fall into the category of a benefit, that being the sewer collection services. They have to pay their fees the same as any other property owner does. The distinction is that the city council or the governing body overseeing that function could exempt, if they so chose, public agencies from having to pay for those kind of fees, but only on the condition that the parent agency, in this case the city of Lancaster, was willing to pay from its general fund those fees that otherwise would be collected from public agencies. So if you want to exempt them, you can do that, but then the city has to pay from its general fund. We cannot pass those expenses along to the others who pay into the sewer maintenance function. They pay only for the service that we have through a study and a calculation as to what they actually contribute or what they receive in services as a benefit from the whole. I understand, again, this is a little bit complicated to understand, but we have worked on this for some time with our city attorney to make sure that we were doing everything specifically and appropriate to Proposition 218. And I think we're at that point, and staff does recommend then that Ordinance 913 be introduced at this time. Again, I'm open for questions from the council.
Question. So this ordinance is not going to exempt then? And
I'm sorry, sir.
This ordinance will not exempt the public entities and take it out of our general fund?
If the way this ordinance is written now, it would impose the same fees for service upon public agencies as all other property owners. So that would mean you would not have to pay for those fees from general fund.
Great.
Except for those fees that are associated with city-owned or agency-owned properties.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
No speakers cards, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any discussion?
I'll move that we introduce ordinance number 913.
Second that. Let's vote. It's unanimous. Okay, do we have a report from the city manager or any announcements?
Yes, I do, sir. I have 3 announcements. The first is during the holiday season, it's very busy for everyone, including staff, and I'd just like to use this weekend as an example to thank staff. This weekend, we supported a holiday walk, parade on Lancaster Boulevard, breakfast with Santa, where staff served meals to 500, I believe. We had LPAC events virtually every night. There's a major soccer tournament at the soccer center which brought in $2 million to a regional economy, filling up hotel rooms all the way from Santa Clarita to Tehachapi. And various other just the normal services we do. And I'd really like to thank staff. The citizens of Lancaster are really blessed with a very good staff, our frontline people. Second announcement I'd like to make is that this upcoming weekend, I'm very excited to report that Lancaster has 2 high schools that are playing for the CIF football championship. I would defy any other city other than the city of Los Angeles, which has its own league, if there's another city that has 2 high schools playing for CIF championships in LA County. Quartz Hill will be playing Miracosta at Quartz Hill High School on Friday night at 7:30, and then the big game will be Paraclete playing Rosemead on Saturday at Knight High School.
And that really is a big game, Mr. Bozigian?
That's the big game, yes, sir.
Quartz Hill sells good tri-tip sandwiches. What does Paraclete sell?
My wife's in charge of the snack bar, so.
Never mind.
It's the best de facto. But that really is a point of pride for the community. I mean, that's a point of pride for the athletes and for the community, and really the community should go out and support both those games. And lastly, I'd like to have our city attorney, Dave McEwen, give a brief update on an ordinance that will be before you in January.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, last Tuesday we met with a group of interested animal owners concerning the proposed changes to the animal control ordinance. And it was I think, a very fruitful give and take session. It's pretty clear where they're coming from. They don't, on a whole, they don't object to regulating vicious animals and putting the onus on the owners to control those animals. And that was where the draft ordinance was directed. They had some concerns about some of the provisions. We asked them to provide additional language for us, which they have done. I will be incorporating that along with 3 or 4 other changes into the ordinance, and we'll be bringing that back to you in January. Most likely at the first meeting in January. It might slip to the second, but we'll get it to you as quickly as we can get it prepared. I did commit to the group that we would recirculate the draft to them, but it's not with the intention that we would have any additional meetings with them, but just simply that they could individually, if they saw something additionally that they would like to comment on, they would have the opportunity to do that before the public hearing or before the meeting on the adoption of the ordinance. The other part of the ordinance is a mandatory spade and neutering provision for pit bulls and Rottweilers only. And there was uniform objection to that in two manners. One, they said by zeroing in on a specific breed that we were creating a second class of dogs, so to speak, and they were objecting to that. First of all, they don't want mandatory spade and neutering for any dog. However, if mandatory spade and neutering is to be imposed, then they want to follow the county process, which is all dogs. And the county's ordinance...
That makes 0 sense.
Yeah. The county's ordinance currently requires all dogs over 4 months of age to be spayed or neutered. There was one veterinarian in the group that suggested that might not be healthy for the dogs, and we're considering some language that would allow an extension of that time period if they can show satisfactory evidence to code enforcement or to animal control officials that doing so there would endanger the health of the animal.
Could we add all members of the targeted gangs to that spay and neuter law?
Be nice. We thought about that.
Part of the scholarship fund.
Microchipping would help too. And that is another one of the things that we took out was a mandatory microchipping of all dogs, and moved that into the control of the vicious animals. And for any dog that is determined to have been a vicious animal or a potentially vicious animal because of threats to humans, there's two levels of penalty involved. One is the first level where there's some kind of mitigating circumstance, and the animal control officer can impose certain penalties in that instance, one of which would be a requirement that the dog be microchipped. And the second level is if there's no mitigating circumstances, the dog is removed and disposed of humanely. The goal is to cut down on any opportunity of a dog to be a potentially vicious animal. There's no such thing as a free bite anymore. We will penalize the owners for failure to control their animals.
Okay.
So I'll be bringing that ordinance back to you, hopefully for the first meeting in January. But we're still, and we still have to work with the animal control officers. They did indicate after last Tuesday, they indicated they had some comments that they would be getting us on the ordinance. We're still waiting on those.
Why did we add the Rottweilers?
Yeah, that came, I guess, from staff that it was there was an inordinate number of Rottweilers in the shelter, and
I see.
we felt to take care of it that way. One other comment is that they almost uniformly agreed that we needed to do something about gang members and dogs.
Well, that's the goal of this. Let's not make any mistake about it.
And cutting down the population of dogs running wild. That is something they all agreed with the concept of. Mm-hmm. And so we're just trying to find a way that will accomplish that goal while preserving the good dog owners' rights to have those dogs that they choose to have. And as long as they can continue to control those dogs, they'll be able to have them.
Well, we're on the subject. Can we look into having animal control at parades, the soccer complex when there's an event? Anytime we have events, I just noticed some pit bulls at the parade, and there really wasn't any way to deal with it. It was,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can
Thank
certainly
you.
do that.
Good. Okay, I look forward to it. Thank you. City Clerk, any announcements?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for public business from the floor on non-agendized items. We request that anyone who would like to address the council or the agency on these matters should fill out a speaker card. You'll find them at the back of the council chambers. They're the green cards on the table. And we also ask that you fill the cards out completely and print as clearly as possible so that if necessary, the council, city manager, or staff can get a hold of you if it's necessary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. When you approach the podium, you please notice there are 3 lights. There's a green light that starts when your time starts, a yellow light comes on when you have 30 seconds left, and a red light comes on when your time is over. We ask that you be considerate of the allotted time to allow other speakers to have their 3 minutes as well. Following this procedure will allow for a smooth and timely process for the City Council, and we appreciate your cooperation on this. State law does prohibit the council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter will be referred to the city manager. Thank you.
Okay. Kathy Hart, Southern California Edison.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Hart. I'm the Region Manager in Public Affairs for Edison for this region. And I'm here to address you quickly this evening with a promise to come back and give you a more formal briefing after the first of the year about our Tehachapi Renewable Transmission Line project. We wanted you to be aware of some of the activities that are happening in the area, as well as the status of our next phase, the filing of our phases, segments 4 through 11, so that you're aware of what's happening and will be duly noticed at the proper time. Segments 1, 2, and 3, and the map that I've distributed to you, are under construction now with us. They all sort of converge at the Antelope substation. There's a lot of activity now transpiring around the Antelope substation. I've previously briefed Public Works so that they're aware of the project and the activities that are ongoing there. We anticipate that residents may see a lot of activity happening, new towers going up, et cetera. That's going to move forward rather quickly, and the construction activities will continue on through the better part of the next year. Segments 4 through 11, however, are still in the filing stage, the licensing phase with the Public Utilities Commission. We had expected that a draft environmental impact review, or report, would be released sometime this month. However, the PUC has now informed us that it probably won't be released until February. So the city, members of this staff and the city electeds will receive notification when that EIR is released. There will be a 60-day public comment period. We'll be hearing input from the community, and it will go back to the PUC for final review. We're not expecting that portion of the project will be approved until probably late next summer or early fall, with construction activities probably starting early in 2010. As I said, I will be meeting with Mr. Bazigian, Mr. Cottle in the next couple of weeks to give a more formal briefing. I'll also be coming back to you probably early next year to talk with slides and more information. The company wanted you to be aware of what's going on now rather than later, and I'm available at any time to answer questions.
Are there any plans in the works to handle the solar output?
E-Solar, in that they do have a contract with Edison. They will be doing the distribution and transmission and connecting with our grid at some point. I'm not sure at this point how the transmission is going to go, but they certainly will be interconnecting with this network.
Is it going to be adequate?
Oh, absolutely. The Tehachapi Renewable Transmission Project gives us the capacity, when it's all completed, to bring about 4,500 megawatts of new renewable energy from the region. A lot of it coming from the wind turbines in the Tehachapis, but also from a lot of the projects that are emerging throughout the valley.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What's the capacity of the transmission?
4,500 megawatts is the goal. That will help us meet our renewable mandate of 20% of our total portfolio being from renewable sources.
I see. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is it Dr. Casanado? Coronado. Oh, that's an R instead of a Z. Okay.
Coronado, like the island. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, fellow citizens. My name is Dr. Miguel Coronado. I'm a former employee at Antelope Valley College, where my distinguished Vice Mayor, I think, are you still employed there, sir? Wonderful. I had the pleasure of meeting you at Greenleaf. Sir, I am a proud member of the city of Lancaster. I moved here in 2004, November of 2004, when I was employed at Antelope Valley College. I was chosen at several colleges for employment, and I very proudly chose Antelope Valley College to do academic counseling and also as a professor of college orientation, life, and college strategies. I moved here because I grew up in a very impoverished neighborhood in Los Angeles, California, near Alvarado. I was neighbors with the LAPD department at Rampart Station, and while living there, I experienced enormous hardships, gangs, brutality, gangs, murders, rapes. And the only way to be able to escape these situations of these neighborhoods was, well, to go to prison, to be killed or to get an education. I chose a third one, to get an education. I received an associate's degree from Victor Valley College, a bachelor's degree in political science, a master's in education, and then a doctorate in leadership, higher education administration. I bought my first home in 2006 in the West Side, and in 2007 I purchased my second home in Westview Estates. I thought that it was a very good idea for me to receive a good education so I could one day be able to raise a family in a wonderful environment, and I chose Lancaster. 2 weeks ago, sir, members of the council, staff, I called the police because I was threatened by a fellow citizen at the gym out of nowhere. He physically decided to hurt me, and because I'm no longer in that mentality of the streets, I couldn't say to him, let's take it to the streets or let's take it to the alley. I could easily have take it upon my own hand, but I have so much to lose. So I called the police officers, and Mr. Officer Reddish approached the scene, and since I'm almost out of time, he said to me, shut the F up, or I'm going to personally beat your ass. And that concerned me. So I was very concerned because this causes excessive force, abuse of authority, abuse of discretion, community and public trust being shattered, expose city to liability, and raises the risk of litigation, harassment, discriminatory, and profiling. And I don't want this to happen to anybody because, of course, I was not presentable at the gym. I was very hurt by the officer's actions towards me, and I would like to ask the city manager if he could please set up a meeting with the captain so I can make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else, sir. And I am very concerned. We heard wonderful things happening in our city with the police, and they do such a great job. As a matter of fact, I'm very proud to have used the police officers to promise to shop for cops. There's no doubt I saw the article that you started sponsoring this, and I support you, sir. But I don't want this to happen to anybody else. And since I lead a group of concerned citizens in Lancaster, I want to make sure, sir, that they don't ever have to go through what I have to go through. The reason I left this hood and got educated is to be a public servant like you, and you.
Thank you. Monty, you want to talk to him after the meeting and make certain that we explain to him how to do the internal affairs complaint, if that's what's the appropriate procedure. And the only thing I can tell you is that until the procedure's followed, there's really not. It's not something I can get involved in. Simply because we have to follow the procedure. It's a procedure that we think works, and hopefully I'm not going to have to see you again because it will work.
Absolutely. Okay? Well, the biggest person is the sitting mayor of West Covina is a personal friend of mine. Went to college together. He was there with me, and he had to experience this. And I took him out to dinner here in Lancaster, and he suggested I handle it this way to make sure that you guys don't have to see me again on this particular issue. I do have another meeting to attend, so if I could get a hold of the city manager at a later time, tomorrow, sir?
That's not how I want to do it.
Okay, however you want to do it, so I'll do it.
Through the Sheriff's Department.
Through the Sheriff's Department.
And they will report back to us, and then hopefully that'll resolve the situation.
Okay, and which sheriff do I talk to?
Monty will tell you how to do it.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Sir, you're doing a magnificent job. I appreciate that you stopped that situation that was going on with my distinguished honorable colleague, Mr. Smith. You've done a great job. The City Council has done a great job, and it's a privilege and an honor to have moved my family to Lancaster, and I plan to raise my family here. I don't have any kids yet, but I plan on it, and they'll be raised in Lancaster. Very proud.
Just so the record's clear, I didn't stop anything with Vice Mayor Smith. Vice Mayor Smith, I think, is finally being recognized for the magnificent job that he's doing.
I agree, sir.
He knows how to administer the city better than anybody I know.
Well, when I met with him I actually briefly met him at the Greenleaf, and he was so cordial, and I said, sir, I'm sorry that you're going through these problems, and you know what? To have him as vice mayor makes me very proud, and to call him my distinguished colleague also makes me very proud, sir, and I look very forward to working with the City Council and other matters in the future. Thank you, sir. God bless you, and God bless the City of Lancaster.
Okay. You might tell him, though, he should be more respectful of the mayor. Okay. No, I'm kidding.
You have to be more respectful of the mayor, Mr. Smith.
I'm working on it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay. Diane Grooms? How you been?
Just fine. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and Mr. Bozigi and staff. It's a delight to be here tonight. I'm here,
Hey, before you start, do you think you could talk to Larry to talk to Assemblyman Knight about keeping his office in Lancaster?
I'm going to stay out of politics.
Okay, thanks.
That'll be the day, right? I'm just glad he has a job, frankly. On January 27th, 28th, and 29th, the Los Angeles County Homeless Census will be conducted by the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. We don't know yet what night they'll be counting in this particular area in SPA 1. But we certainly do want the City of Lancaster to be aware of that, and as we find out information about that. I'm wearing my hat as chairman of the Antelope Valley Homeless Coalition right now, and a lot of the members of the nonprofits in the area will be participating. We will be getting volunteers who are homeless to help us with the count, and this is the methodology that is used nationwide in cities throughout the country. This count helps us establish the formula for how our community can qualify for money from LAHSA and from our federal resources. But I have to make you aware of some tweaks in statistics that LAHSA is frankly pulling on our behalf to limit how much money we can get in this community to do our good work. In 2005 and 2007, our census numbers were relatively stable. We had similar amounts, but our point-in-time count dramatically reduced. That means that any one night in any time during the year, there's a specific amount of people who are considered homeless. LAHSA is now starting to put their dollar formula to that point-in-time count instead of the annual count. The difference that makes is, for us, is that we proved with the census in 2007 that we actually reduced the length of time people were homeless in this area dramatically. What it's done is now restricted the amount of money we can ask for from LAHSA and expect to get. So for doing a good job, we're getting penalized. I'd like to ask the city to be involved in helping us lobby for the accurate amount of money that we should be getting, a fair amount, given the number of statistics, a number of homeless folks that we have year-round, and to help us with the homeless count and participate in that number.
Mrs. Grooms, they've never been fair to us in the past. Why would we expect them to be fair to us now?
Because
isn't that the reality of it?
It is the reality.
The reality of it is they're sending their homeless to the Antelope Valley and they're keeping the resources downtown.
That's correct.
And I'm furious about it, but to expect them to do anything different about it, I don't know that we have a plan in place to make people be fair, especially when all the power is downtown L.A. and all the problems are being shipped here.
I agree. We absolutely agree. And I think what's most important is to make sure that we get as accurate a count as possible at the census, and then that we follow up with them and not let them keep changing the statistic on us, because we need those services locally for our families who are on the edge. We truly do. And then we can keep them off the streets and prevent them from becoming homeless with good services up here. And that's why I'm here tonight. Anything that we can do as a homeless coalition on your behalf to assist with this, we'll be more than happy to help.
On the census day, should we all sleep in the park and say we're homeless?
No, we want an accurate count. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. We will do whatever we can to assist. Lee Barron?
Good evening, Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Smith, and ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm Lee Barron with the Quartz Hill Chamber of Commerce and a new business owner in Quartz Hill. And before I get started, I wanted to thank you all for speeding up the process and getting the Portofino problem taken care of. The homeowners there are really grateful for it, and I am, as well as the town council. But one big item that's important to me is the corridor there at 60th Street West and Avenue L. That's the Walmart project that was introduced last year sometime, or late last year. And there's environmental impact reports that were done that were supposed to be announced 6-8 months ago, and nothing's been done there. And now we just had an approval for collecting
Well, wait a
additional
minute. It
funds.
may not have been announced, but I think it's unfair to say nothing's been done.
Well,
You know, I know that there's a tremendous amount of work being done by staff. on
there's
this
work
issue.
going, you're right, Mayor, there is work going on, but I'm on one of the lists of people to be contacted on updates and progress of that project, and I haven't received one piece of mail, email, phone calls, nothing. And I don't know if it's being intentional or whatever, but I would like to be let into the picture.
Let's be clear on that. My direction to staff was to make certain that all the folks in Quartz Hill, whether they were in the city or out of the city, that had an interest in this, were communicated with at before every key event took place, so that they could participate. My understanding that they are doing that. Now, certainly, as the head of the town council, you should be on that list, and we will rectify that today.
That's the Chamber of Commerce that I'm on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would like, well, when you're done, I have some info.
Okay, good.
Okay. Anyways, I just want to be kept up to date on it so I can let the business owners in Quartz Hill know what's going on. And, we are trying to build up our little community there along 50th Street that we're trying to rename to Quartz Hill something here real quick. And, we are a town, a rural town, and we like to keep it that way. But we're growing, and we like to, look something like a Santa Monica or a Santa Barbara or something on those lines. But I appreciate your time and this evening, and, I think you all are doing a good job. And just a little note here, this Saturday we have a free dinner at Antelope Valley Bank in Quartz Hill, and you're all invited. Just bring a toy for tots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just so your folks are aware, we haven't heard all of the testimony and everything we have to do to sit on it, or sit and make a decision. But the reason the police officers are able to drop this crime rate is because of the sales tax. And whether we like it or not, we are going to need a commercial center in the Quartz Hill area. If we don't have that, what we will have is a drain on those services without the balance of paying for them.
We agree with you 100%, Mayor. Okay. We just don't believe that it should be right across the street from a high school. We believe that, I brought up an idea, a suggestion to Walmart of having the Walmart come out with the first Walmart Technical Institute. One thing that we're short on here in the Antelope Valley are our new engineers. We all know our engineers are on there.
We just had a meeting yesterday with the Fresno State University on our engineering program at Lancaster University, which we may change to Antelope Valley University, where we're going to be ramping up that engineering program in a big way.
But what a great place to have it. It's right across the street from your greatest high school, Quartz Hill High School. There are more kids going on to Navy academies out of that school than any other school in the country. That's a lot to...
I kind of thought RX Paris High School was the greatest high school.
How about RX Paris?
I will concede that I am in the minority.
I think RX Paris Institute would be a technical institute. Would be something that would go on and on and on.
I'll talk to my wife.
Okay. But thank you all very much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I might.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ludicky and his staff will be out at the Quartz Hill Town Council on December 16th, correct, Brian? To talk to the council about the process, when the EIR will be released, how you make comments, etc. They will be communicating to all people who have signed up. Also, I might add that lots of people call Mr. Ludicky and his staff a lot on this project, and I would certainly encourage you, if you have any questions, to contact staff on that as well, too. But they will be out, and there will be ample opportunity to comment and publication of that.
Thank you. Nicole Parsons?
Hi.
Hello.
There's no way that I'm going to finish tonight, so I'll just start with just random.
I can't hear you, Nicole.
Oh, there's no way I'm going to finish tonight, so I'm just going to start with random things. Mr. Ludicky, he's doing an EIR, something. What is that again?
You got to talk louder. I can't hear you.
What about the EIR? Maybe I'll ask that later. Specific question. No, I can't. Okay, I'm just supposed to talk because I'm going to use my time if I ask questions. Or we can conversate, and that extends the time. So the purple pipe. So the purple pipe is being used right now, Mr. Williams. Piping line, or for what's agricultural.
Nicole, the purpose of the public hearing is for you to talk to us.
Oh, yeah.
It's not to converse with the staff.
Unless you ask me a question, huh?
And
yeah.
Nicole, you know that I like you, but you have got to treat staff better than you have been.
I didn't, you know what? I did not know that I was disrespectful or at all. And exactly what do you mean?
I'll talk to you about it later, but like I said, I like you and I like your ideas, but when you talk to our staff,
yes, sir,
you have to treat them appropriately.
Okay, we can talk about it now because I like to address it publicly. But if you don't want to,
tell me the problem with the purple pipe.
Well, there's a lot of well, I was just going to ask a question. It's being used right now for agricultural uses, or is it not right now?
Not right now.
So okay, so that's because I'm getting conflicting answers. Okay, and so in the EIR, what's that? He's going to do a whole.
Well, whenever they do a major project, they do an environmental impact report. And, that's a way for guys to make all kinds of money, telling us things we already know, essentially. And, I mean, they do provide some benefit, but not nearly as much that is the amount of money that's spent on them.
On EIR?
Now you've heard the mayor's view of EIRs.
You would have some staff that would agree with that view.
So he's doing EIR redesign? Is that what he's doing?
No, before anything gets built, they have to do an EIR, which explores all the environmental impact on a project. They're enormously expensive. They could be done much more efficiently, but we will have one done on any purple pipe project that we do.
Right, but more efficiently, isn't there? So the EIR more efficiently, isn't there a project to redesign into an EIR outline itself?
I'm not sure.
I'll ask that later.
Actually, you're out of time. Okay.
You were talking to me.
You're right, I was. Okay, let's give her another 3 minutes. Fair enough?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Baker was here, and I was just like to support that and show how that ties in with the vision and the general plan of Lancaster. He's in the area of the redevelopment, revitalization of downtown, and also there's MHA right there, and the transient and transit interconnections, and it's all important to cluster all those together because how the lady just said, gaining allocations, like say from the United Way and the County of Los Angeles to flourish and grow like the homeless population, and then your vision of to manufacturing, the manufacturing future. And so that's all in the general plan, and then also the design of the double-story design of the downtown district ties into the small business and the home-based businesses and the people, the homeless people and the parolees who want to flourish, and also the 20,000 houses or population that's going right here. We have to make sure that all this works in together and to flourish, and not just to get 1% from 6% from those people and not just use it, because we're going to get probably like $6 a day from each household, and so to use that to bring these people up in all areas of life and what they stand for. And then also in the wilderness, and then so the emergency preparedness that Cindy was talking about, and so much, that was actually, it was built for a wilderness survival, that each person can give their input, because someone had said in the meeting that Boy Scouts, there's a lot of good survival information that comes from everywhere. And then the cops and the remedy, how this guy was mistreated, there's a lot of corporal crimes amongst the people, and that's what the public safety method itself was built for. The Business Watch was for us citizens to watch the businesses, so the City Hall could direct us and address the public safety for us citizens. And so,
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be. It's thank you for the time, and I'll be back, of course.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Paul, I always save you for last because you always have good things to say, and I get to go home on an upbeat note.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, good evening and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
I was sitting here, and I always have to change things around a little bit. I have to start with a confession. I did a very bad thing today. I met up with Mayor Ledford at the Best Buy in Palmdale, and we both bought the Batman movie that just came out today. If there's any consolation...
We're actually getting along with Mayor Ledford now. He's my buddy, so
okay,
it's okay.
Well, if it's any consolation,
We had our Christmas party in Palmdale, so just so you know.
I got the last box set that had the Batman cowl in it, and he wanted one, so I denied comfort to our new friend. Anyway, no, I'm having fun tonight. I heard a lot of great things, but I have to tell you, Mr. Mayor, I've been waiting for, 3 or 4 weeks now for the word of what would change our world. And, I've been excited about that for all this time. And I see you're doing things, and I'm serious about that.
That ain't it. It's even better than that.
Well,
it's coming.
This is the whole thing. I have this project, and its goal is to bring citizens, local government, law enforcement together in a cooperative effort, because at some point to solve the real problem, we have to attack it at a different level. Even if you bring economic prosperity with a power plant and all the other things that come from that, there's still all the other problems we have as a society that aren't being addressed. Have you seen the numbers lately? They've had a couple of guys on the Sunday talk shows that have tried to compute the cost of the financial crisis we're in, and they put it up against 10 public works projects for the last century, the Panama Canal, the Apollo moonshot, all of it. None of it adds up to half of the mess we're in. And that got into, we got into that problem because of what I talked about before. The morals that they worship will be gone. That's the moral of greed. That's the moral that says that you will take and not give. And that's what we have to get away with. And this Human Accountability Project is really a traffic enforcement initiative. And it deals with real-time computing of traffic information. So I saw Barack Obama about a month ago on 60 Minutes, and just last week I saw another guy, his name was Isaac, he's the former head of the FDIC, and he was talking about the bailout and why it didn't work or hasn't had more results, and he said that you can't know what didn't happen. Barack Obama on 60 Minutes a month ago said to Steve Kroft, when asked why it hasn't happened, he said that you have to measure it against what didn't happen. So here we have a new matrix, a new intellectual curiosity.
I was hearing that. That was interesting.
Yes, and this is basically what Bluff's theorem is talking about. It's talking about the cost of traffic-related violations added to what could be saved if we actually enforce the law. And I just wait for an opportunity to come, like I asked last time, to present this and go through it, because this is an innovative idea built to bring people together and solve a problem. So, thank you.
What is it you want me to do?
I would like the opportunity to read this to the council. It take about 10 minutes, and it basically lays out the
David, call me during the week.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk about it, and if it's something that we should do a presentation on, I'll schedule it for a presentation as opposed to new business, okay?
I appreciate that.
But let's talk about it and make a decision before that, okay?
Yes, sir. Very good.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Okay, moving on. Any council reports?
We have 2 reports that will be coming in January for the AQMD and the AVTA.
In January? Great. Any council comments? Agency comments?
I have one. In fact, I have a lot. But I'm bummed because I heard that Mr. Paul went to Palmdale and spent money. And it's like, excuse me, we just put these out. And you took our money from Lancaster, you gave it to Palmdale. Anyway, just been very since Thanksgiving. Yeah. I'm like, don't come here and tell us that, okay? But lately, Thanksgiving started with me, and I started thinking about how much we have to be thankful for in our city and how far we've come in a short period of time. Just the atmosphere here at City Council is so different, and I'm so thankful. I'm thankful for Mayor Paris, and I'm thankful for your vision and for your leadership. I am very thankful for Ron Smith having weathered the storms and not being able to explain a lot of things to a lot of people, and having come forward and kept bringing up ordinances. And one of them, one things that he really fought for were more deputies. And it's evident that more deputies do make a difference. The nuisance ordinance is another thing. There's just been ordinance after ordinance that Ron Smith kept bringing forward and doing what was good for the city and keeping the city on track. And I'm thankful to be part of a proactive and very positive council at this time. It's a great privilege to be sitting here, and I do not take it lightly. I'm very grateful and thankful for our city manager and for the staff and how dedicated they have been, and how they cut the budget and they added more deputies, and none of our employees have been laid off, and we're in great shape thanks to them. After hearing the presentation with Captain Anderson tonight, I could go on and on about that too. And the thing there that I want to be clear to Captain Anderson and our deputies is that we want to give them whatever they need to do their jobs even better. And also, I'm very grateful for the city staff and how professional they are, and how what their can-do attitude is, and I am constantly being impressed with them, and I thank them for everything that they do for us. They go above and beyond in so many areas, and then they're actually putting a stamp of excellence on everything they do, and I see that that's what they're striving for. Then our citizens, except for David Paul, I'm very thankful for them because they're stepping up and they're getting involved and they're being engaged, and they have to stay that way and get even more engaged and involved. And see, Mr. Wilson left before I got through bragging on Lancaster, and so this isn't going to be in the paper or anything, but I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and ask God to bless our troops and to bless their families and comfort their families while they're separated during this time. And may God continue to bless the city of Lancaster. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is this our last meeting of the year?
Yes. Well, I'd like to just say it's been a wonderful year, It's been an honor to work next to Mayor Paris so closely, and the changes that we're affecting, and I think we made a great choice in Mr. Bozigian as a city manager, and it's really making a big difference. But I'd like to say that the past couple of events that the staff has put on has just been fantastic. The Breakfast with Santa and the working on the parade and everything else, and they just do a bang-up job continually. And I think it's been a great year, and I think we're going to have a great 2009.
It is exciting, isn't it? I'm digging it. Yeah. It is the end of the year, and there's something I would like to say about it, is, the citizens of this community have really got engaged. And when we were first talking about the things we wanted to do, we weren't sure that they would. We came out of a tumultuous election with the recall situation, and what I find most remarkable is that most of the people that were involved in that recall are now actively engaged with their city and doing positive things with their city, and it's, we're putting the bad stuff behind us and we're pursuing the good stuff, and we're reaping incredible rewards. And it's probably a good time for all of us just to put it behind us now and go forward, because we are accomplishing things that no other city in America is accomplishing. I mean, look, in these economic times and in these conditions, for crime to be rolled back 10 years, I mean, wow. It's far beyond any expectations I had. And so let's make... We need new mics or something. That's coming. We need child-proof mics for the mayor, okay? So let's see what we do in 2009. I think it's going to be another fascinating year. And thank you for your participation. And we have Mark Walters in the audience, who's from Palmdale, but...
Did he sign a card?
The other half of this is that without Palmdale's involvement in the things we're doing and agreeing on the same direction, this would have been impossible. And so I appreciate their assistance. And with that, we have to go into executive session. I have to recuse myself on one of the items, which is the... No, I'm not going to recuse myself on the other item. I'm going to recuse myself on the McClaskey Motors, but since there doesn't seem to be any conflict in regards to the other item, I'm going to just turn the meeting over to the Vice Mayor. And I will see everybody at the new year. Thank you for coming.
Okay, at this time we'll adjourn to...
Government Code Section 51956.8 concerning real property negotiations on the two matters listed on the agenda. Gave direction to staff concerning negotiations.
Thank you. With that being the case, then we will now adjourn until January 13th, 2009 at 5 p.m. Thank you.